It's May 9th here in Seoul, and I'm Kim Dami. We begin with the stories making the headlines at this hour, starting with the first American head of the Catholic Church. Cardinal Robert Prevost has been elected the new pope and has taken the name Leo XIV. The new pontiff's first words to crowds in St. Peter's Square were, "May peace be with all of you." The Trump administration has struck a trade deal with the UK, the first since it launched sweeping tariffs on trading partners. The US agreed to cut tariffs on cars to as low as 10%, while the UK will lower barriers on agricultural and auto products. The second meeting between People Power Party candidate Kim Moon-soo and independent candidate and ex-Prime Minister Han Duck-soo on a candidacy merger for the presidential election ended with no agreement yet again on Thursday. The People Power Party is now carrying out a poll on the two candidates. A historic moment for the Catholic Church as the first American Pope, Leo XIV, has been elected. Now, known for his deep ties to Latin America, he's seen as a bridge between tradition and reform. Our Shin Se-byuk starts us off.
As white smoke billowed from the chimney of the Vatican Sistine Chapel at 6:05 p.m. on Thursday local time, the world welcomed a new pope. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost, now known as Leo XIV, has become the first American pope in the over 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church. Emerging in the traditional white cassock, the new pope appeared on the balcony overlooking St. Peter's Square to deliver his first message to the world.
La pace sia con tutti voi.
The 69-year-old was elected on the fourth round of voting just 2 days after the conclave began, with at least two-thirds of the 133 cardinal votes needed to confirm his selection. His election comes 17 days after the death of his predecessor, Pope Francis. In the Vatican, the atmosphere was one of celebration as the faithful welcomed the newly elected pontiff.
Having the leader of the Catholic Church be from the same country as I am I just felt very proud.
Really happy. It's a big surprise and a big blessing for the church and for the church in the United States also, and the church in the Americas. Yeah.
U.S. President Donald Trump also took to social media, saying it's an honor to see the first American pope. Back in his hometown of Chicago, the mood was equally celebratory.
Very surprised and then elated. It's exciting, American. It's nice for us.
Born in 1955 in Chicago, Leo XIV served in Peru for 2 decades, working with indigenous communities and the poor before being appointed Archbishop in 2015. In 2023, he was elevated to cardinal by Pope Francis and took on the influential role of prefect of the dicastery for bishops, overseeing key church appointments. The name Leo, from the Latin word for lion, symbolizes strength, courage, and leadership in the Catholic tradition. The last pope to bear the name Leo XIII, who served for 25 years from 1878, is credited with laying the foundation for modern Catholic teaching by addressing the social challenges of the industrial era. Cardinal Prevost's choice of the name Leo XIV is seen as a nod to this legacy. His diverse background, combining North American roots and deep Latin American connections, is being viewed as a potential bridge within the global church, appealing to both conservative and progressive factions. Looking ahead, Leo XIV is expected to visit South Korea in 2027 for the next World Youth Day. This would mark the fourth visit by a pope to South Korea and the first in 13 years since Pope Francis visited in August 2014. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
The U.S. and the U.K. say they've reached what they call a breakthrough trade deal. It is the first trade deal made since U.S. President Donald Trump's reciprocal tariff pause. Lee Seung-ja has the details.
Britain became the first country to strike a trade deal with the United States on Thursday, since U.S. President Donald Trump's sweeping reciprocal tariffs announced last month. Nothing was officially signed during the Oval Office event announcing the trade deal, and many specifics about the deal were not immediately clear. According to President Trump, the final details are being written up and will be made official in the coming weeks. However, according to a fact sheet from the White House, the trade deal will keep in place a 10% blanket U.S. tariff on UK imports. It will also adjust tariffs on UK cars so that the first 100,000 vehicles imported from British car makers each year would be subject to a 10% rate, with additional vehicles facing a 25% tariff. Speaking to workers and reporters during a visit to a car factory in West Midlands, England on Thursday, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer praised the deal, calling it historic.
And I'm really pleased to announce to you, and I wanted to come to you to announce that we've agreed the basis of a historic economic prosperity deal. And that is a deal that will protect British businesses and save thousands of jobs in Britain. Really important, skilled, well-paid jobs.
The deal will see U.S. tariffs on British cars slashed from 27.5% to 10%. Also, import duties on steel and aluminum will be reduced to zero. 이승재, Arirang News.
Despite efforts to create a coalition between Conservative Party candidate Kim Moon-soo and former Prime Minister Han Duck-soo for the presidential election, it hasn't been a walk in the park as there is now a rift within the Conservative bloc. Our Oh Seong has the details.
People Power Party candidate Kim Moon-soo and ex-Prime Minister Han Duck-soo, running as an independent, fell for a second time to form a joint Conservative ticket to run in the June 3rd presidential election. In a live televised discussion at the National Assembly's outdoor cafe, the two contenders on Thursday held another meeting after their first talks the previous day failed to produce an outcome. But the smiles and small talk soon turned into a heated exchange. Kim continually challenged Han's relatively late entry into the race, citing his lack of participation in the PPP primary. He also criticised Han for declaring he would not run if no merger is reached before May 11th, the deadline for candidate registrations. Kim has insisted they hold separate campaigns for a week before taking steps towards the merger. Han retorted there is no time to lose, saying they must unite against economic and geopolitical crises and that the Democratic Party is gaining ground. He renewed pressure on Kim not to stall the process, noting Kim had promised voters he would join forces with him at least 22 times in recent weeks. Han also reiterated that he will follow the PPP's lead, saying that their union is the command of the people. Han's camp later said a third meeting has not been proposed yet, but the former PM hopes to hear more specific merger plans, with Kim reflecting his party's perspective, not just his own. The PPP has been pushing its candidate for a swift union with Han in a bid to challenge DP candidate Lee Jae-myung's strong lead in national polls. After winning last week's primary, Kim is now arguing he should be the one who sets the terms on the merger. Accusing party elders of aligning with Han Duck-soo, he refused to take part in their plans to merge before May 11th, threatening legal action for undermining his candidacy. In return, senior PPP figures have ramped up pressure on Kim to honour his pledge and suggested on Thursday that the party could even legally replace its candidate. The party has pushed ahead with a two-day national poll on Kim and Han until 4 p.m. on Friday. Taking their battle to the courts, Kim filed 2 injunction requests, seeking recognition of his status as the party's official presidential contender and asking the courts to block 2 party events that could end his candidacy. In response, the party's legal team argued that Kim's lead in the PPP primary was based on his repeated pledge to unify with Han. The party claimed it never forced the merger in favour of Han, and that procedures for convening the National Convention and Central Committee are legally sound. The Seoul court ruling is expected by Friday afternoon. Oh Seong, Arirang News.
Now, meanwhile, the Democratic Party's presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung continues his campaign trail. On Thursday, the focus was on the economy and people's livelihoods. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
Economic policy was the first message Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung turned to on Thursday, just a day after clearing key legal hurdles facing him before this presidential election. He held a roundtable with leaders from 5 major business organizations, including the Korea Chamber of Commerce and the Federation of Korean Industries, highlighting his pro-business stance in a bid to win over undecided voters and widen his apparent lead in the race. He said the days of the government providing industries with direction and deciding what to do are over.
We must now place trust in the expertise and capabilities of the private sector, with the government playing a strong supporting role behind the scenes. Without this shift in approach, it will be difficult to overcome the challenges we face. In particular, I believe it's time for us to stop being a follower and to start leading the way forward.
On top of this, he emphasized that the livelihood of the people was in a dire situation. And this, to him, was the most important aspect of his campaign. He also tried to ease the concerns of the business leaders and that he won't be pushing on 4.5 workdays and that there will be plenty of discussion before this actually happens. After this, he also took to YouTube Live to meet with 4 economy, stocks, and real estate YouTubers. There, they discussed various issues as he started the conversation off saying he was a small investor as well. Meanwhile, he also responded to North Korea's multiple short-range ballistic missile launches toward the East Sea earlier on Thursday. While condemning the action, he also said it's now time to ease tension and open up inter-Korean dialogue. On top of this, he said the stalled U.S.-North Korea talks must resume. As for the upcoming official presidential election, Lee's campaign announced that it'll kick off official rallies on May 12th at Gwanghwamun Square. This is because of the site's symbolic meaning as a site of the Revolution of Light. The Democratic Party refers to the process of overcoming the December 3rd martial law and subsequent unrest as a Revolution of Light. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Former National Security Office Deputy Director Kim Hyun-jong, a key foreign policy advisor to Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung, met with senior Trump administration officials at the White House on Thursday. Kim told reporters after the meeting that he conveyed Lee's position on the need for a stronger trilateral cooperation between South Korea, the U.S., and Japan. He also raised the issue of tariffs, noting that the current mutual tariff exemption period is set to expire on July 9th, and that may require an extension to allow for a more comprehensive agreement. According to Kim, U.S. officials responded positively. Now, it is considered unusual for a representative of a presidential candidate to engage in high-level discussions with U.S. officials in the lead-up to an election. South Korea's current account remained in the black in March for the 23rd month in a row. Data from the Bank of Korea released on Friday shows the country's current account registered a surplus of $9.14 billion. That's up from February's surplus of $7.18 billion. According to the data, the figure was driven by robust exports, which saw an on-year increase of 2.2%. Now, among key export items, chip exports reversed on a one-month decline, while computer exports also saw a significant rise. The two leaders of Russia and China showed off their tighter relations on the occasion of Russia's Victory Day. They also didn't forget to back North Korea against international sanctions. Let us discuss more with Professor Robert English. Welcome back, Professor English.
Thank you.
So Putin and Xi Jinping say they are solidifying their relations at what Putin says is the highest level in history. Now, they're stressing this now because both have worsened relations with the U.S. at the moment, correct?
I think that's correct. And I think that they're sending a message, especially to Washington, D.C., because some in the Trump administration have clearly harbored the aspiration, have hoped that by getting closer to Moscow, and tensions with Moscow, they could move Putin away from close ties with Xi Jinping in China and somehow realign with the United States. Well, Xi Jinping and Putin are saying that's not going to work. We have a tight and enduring friendship.
Well, Russia and China also made sure to call on the international community to drop all those sanctions against North Korea. Why is China backing North Korea so clearly now? I thought Pyongyang-Beijing relations were, lukewarm in the past months.
Yes, and as your listeners know, perhaps not in Europe or the United States, we've had some recent incidents, the spy scandal, the North Korean spy arrested in China, that have exacerbated those relations. So it is a bit of a surprise, this larger warming, and I can only speculate that North Korea is playing an important role in this anti-Western strategy. In the the immediate circumstances, it's providing weaponry, it's providing artillery, it's providing soldiers, and of course it's testing these short-range missiles for export, for use in other battlefields as well. So it may be that North Korea is simply useful in this respect, both the great powers, China and Russia.
Well, all these developments are taking place all for Russia's Victory Day. And the 72-hour ceasefire declared by Putin is supposedly be effective now. But isn't the deal just a show for Russia? I mean, will it be a peaceful one this time?
It's brief, it's symbolic. Russia would prefer not to have any Ukrainian drone strikes raining down on their parade, literally their parade, or any kind of hacking of social media, of public billboards. They don't want to be embarrassed. So yes, this is entirely in Moscow's interest to have a quiet and respectful holiday. And it's precisely why some think the Ukrainians may have a stunt in store to embarrass Putin. We'll have to wait.
Right. Well, the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un didn't make it to Russia for the Victory Day. Now, instead, the North fired short-range missiles on Thursday yesterday, which some experts say it's to test those weapons to import to Russia. Professor English, what's your take on this?
I can only follow the analysis of the Korean, joint staff of the military, and that's what they put out. So I don't know more than that, but it's absolutely plausible because this war in Ukraine has been a testing ground, unfortunately, for artillery, for missiles, for infantry tactics, of course, for drones. And North Korea is gaining a lot of useful experience in all of these areas. So unfortunately, it's a brutal acknowledgement that lives will be lost for the sake of practicing new weapons. But that could be exactly why these tests are underway. These are missiles for export to Russia and potentially other clients in Africa and Asia.
Well, Professor English, before I let you go, U.S. President Donald Trump teased a very big announcement earlier this week. Now, I have to ask, could it be anything related to the Ukraine war?
I doubt it. I think, who knows with Professor Trump and his teasing announcements, as you say, it may well have been this trade deal with the UK that was announced today. And as we know, it's a deal without much detail.
Right.
Nothing else seems to be in the offing in the immediate future. I just don't know.
I just asked because Trump said that it wouldn't be anything related to tariff, but who knows, right? Alrighty.
If it were a Ukraine deal, that would be wonderful, but I doubt it.
Okay, Professor English, thank you so much for connecting with us this morning and afternoon to you. We appreciate it.
Very welcome.
Now, in the meantime, North Korea has confirmed that it test launched its tactical missile Hwasong-11 on Thursday, with leader Kim Jong-un in attendance. According to the Korean Central News Agency on Friday, Kim personally guided the long-range artillery and missile system joint strike deal. The KCNA said 600mm rocket launchers and the Hwasong-11 tactical ballistic missile were mobilized for the drill. Experts do say it appears the regime is continuously developing and testing those that are advantageous for exports to Russia.
Good morning, I'm Choi Ji-hee, and this is The World Now. Tensions between India and Pakistan are escalating, with both sides reporting drone and missile attacks. On Thursday, India announced that its air defenses had successfully intercepted drone and missile attacks from Pakistan targeting military installations. However, Pakistan denied these allegations and also said it had downed 25 Indian drones. On the same day, India carried out airstrikes in parts of Punjab and Pakistan-administered Kashmir. This came a day after India claimed to have struck 9 terrorist infrastructure sites in Pakistan in response to the massacre of 26 individuals, mostly Indian tourists, by militants on April 22nd. The international community has urged both countries to de-escalate the situation, but both sides have expressed intentions to respond forcefully. U.S. President Donald Trump has called for an immediate 30-day unconditional ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine. The announcement follows a phone conversation with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. On Thursday local time, President Trump urged both Russia and Ukraine to agree to a 30-day unconditional ceasefire, warning that failure to comply would result in additional sanctions from the United States and its allies. In the announcement on his Truth Social account, he emphasized that both nations would be held accountable for respecting the ceasefire. He also expressed willingness to facilitate negotiations toward a broader peace agreement. President Zelensky confirmed his call with President Trump earlier and said Ukraine remains willing to negotiate. Zelensky also said the ratified minerals deal with the U.S. was a truly historic document that opens up many new opportunities. The conversation between the two leaders came just as the Kremlin proposed a limited 3-day ceasefire to coincide with the 80th anniversary of Russia's Victory Day. Billionaire Bill Gates announced Thursday that he would donate over $200 billion through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation by 2045. That would mean the Microsoft co-founder will have given away 99% of his fortune by that date. The announcement follows cuts to international aid budgets, including U.S. foreign aid programs, which Gates said would cause millions of more deaths worldwide. The Gates Foundation is set to conclude its operations on December 31st, 2045, earlier than planned, having already contributed over $100 billion since its establishment in 2000. Finally, the LA 28 Organizing Committee announced on Thursday that the opening ceremony of the 2028 Olympic Games will take place simultaneously at 2 iconic venues, the historic Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum and the modern SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. This will mark the first dual-venue approach in Olympic history. The Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum will become the first venue to host 3 opening ceremonies of the Olympic Games separately. LA 28 chairperson Casey Wasserman stated that utilizing both venues showcases the rich sporting history and innovative spirit of Los Angeles and aims to create an unforgettable experience for athletes and fans worldwide.
As you head out this Friday morning, an umbrella is a must. We are expecting heavy rain to fall across the entire country. Right now, Jeju Island is seeing heavy rain with a heavy rain advisory being issued in the entire island. And this means the rain will be spreading nationwide throughout the morning. And it seems like South Coast and Jeju will be seeing summer monsoon-like showers with up to 200 millimeters in the forecast for Jeju Island. The South Coast could be seeing up to 80 millimeters. The rest of inland areas could see 10 to 50 millimeters. And afternoon highs in Seoul will be getting up to 16 degrees Celsius, which is similar to today's morning lows. And then readings will stay below norms throughout the weekend with lingering rain in the forecast for central areas. Lastly, checking on today's highs now, Seoul gets up to 16 degrees. Daegu, Busan, Daejeon will be staying at 18 degrees. Please stay safe and dry out there.
That is all we have for this morning. Arirang News will be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Thanks for watching.